Hi, welcome to my channel Cloud with Girish. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a serverless solution to create a QR code for a Wi-Fi network. I will use AWS Lambda REST API using Python and Segno library to create the QR code and return the QR code image in the response. While there are many free resources available on the internet for creating QR codes, this solution demonstrates how to use AWS Serverless services to create your own QR code generation solution. I'm using Python as the programming language along with the Segno library to generate the desired QR code. Python offers a variety of QR code library, but for this example, I have chosen Segno. Let's look at our use cases. The use case is to create a function to return a QR code for the Wi-Fi based on parameter passed for SSID, password, and security. Image written in the response will be in .png format. The solution will validate the HTTP method and input parameters to ensure they meet the required format and standard. This solution needs to be REST API based, hence function will be integrated with the API. Let's look at the architecture. We have a user or a consumer that's invoking a REST API, which is hosted in the API gateway. We are passing the Wi-Fi parameters. Lambda function is processing the function using the Segno library and then returning the image in a .png format. Once the QR code is generated, it can be shared with your guest, any other place based on the business use case, and by scanning the QR code, user will be able to connect to that network. Prereq for this is just simple familiarity with AWS console, some knowledge of Python Boto 3, some knowledge of AWS Lambda, and then basic familiarity with API concepts and API validation tools like Postman or Bruno. Let's get started. We're going to review the AWS SAM template. We're going to review the Lambda function. We will build the function locally using AWS SAM. And then I will validate it locally, will deploy it, and then validate the endpoint either using Postman or Bruno. Then we'll review the QR code image, which is the response, and then we can save this image in a folder. I'll be creating the Lambda function via infrastructure as code approach using AWS Serverless Application Framework and CloudFormation. However, you can create the Lambda function using the AWS console as well. SAM is a powerful tool for developers to develop and test Lambda function and API endpoint locally, validating and then deploying to the cloud. If you want to learn about creating and testing Lambda function using AWS SAM, please watch my video on Lambda workshop. Link is in the description for this. Let's look at our SAM template. SAM template is defining two key resources here among many other parameters. One resource is serverless function, which is Lambda in this case. I have named it as Wi-Fi QR code creator. We are using a runtime of Python. Timeout is 15 seconds. Memory size is 128 MB. I have defined some policies. And then I have an event which is of type API. I also have the resource path and the method as post here. The another resource that I have is the serverless API. And again, I have named it as Wi-Fi QR code creator API. I'm deploying it in a dev stage, and it's a regional endpoint configuration. And then I'm passing a binary media type, which is .png in our example per the use case. Next, let's look at the Lambda function. This is our Lambda function. It has like Lambda handler. We are getting the HTTP method from the event. We are also extracting the other required parameters like SSID and the password and security, which is required to create the QR code in a meaningful way so that someone can scan that QR code and it will connect them to that network. So they don't have to enter the information manually. We have a helper function here like a create QR code, which is taking the information and giving the image back. And then of course I have another helper function here to build the response, which is gonna return the image, the binary in a base 64 encoded format. We'll build the function locally using AWS SAM. It's a simple command, just calling SAM build, and once it is built successful, we can invoke it locally by using the command SAM local invoke, and by passing the function name and a JSON payload. Once everything looks good, I can deploy it to the AWS cloud using AWS SAM command. Once my API is all ready to use, let's invoke it. In this particular, I could have used Postman. Postman and Bruno are the two tools that I've been using nowadays to validate the API endpoint. So in this example, I'm using the Bruno, and if you see here, I have passed the parameters SSID, password, and security to create the Wi-Fi QR code, and I'm getting an image back, which I can save in .png format. So with this workshop, a serverless solution to generate a Wi-Fi QR code using AWS Lambda, REST API, and Python has been successfully completed. Boto 3 and Segno library were also used along with Python to develop the solution. In the next video, I will demonstrate how to create same solution using AWS HTTP API instead of a REST API. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm working on some other interesting content on various AWS topics. These will be posted soon. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.